At an office on the outskirts of Bath after hours, it's time for the cleaners. But these are unusual cleaners. Kirsty and Fiona Innes are both ex-secondary school teachers who left the profession 2 years ago to move into business.
We clean offices and shops and sports centres and things like that. And we also offer a recycling scheme as well for offices and workspaces. And we put in place energy efficient power and
basically we do anything. If a company wants to become carbon neutral, then we, they call us and we get it organised for them.
The Innes sisters are symptomatic of a long-running problem for the teaching profession. In the year to March 2005, it's thought 19,000 full-time teachers left schools in England alone. Losing dedicated teachers is a waste of talent and resources.
I went in with the idea of I really did want to make a difference.
It was the sense of security that teaching gives you. It is a profession that you have for the rest of your life. And be it you want to leave for a while, you know, as women we decide to have children, whatever, you can always go back to it. There's always money to be made.
But increasingly, the national curriculum and teaching guidelines restricted their freedom.
And when we started, already directives and guidelines were in place, but once that classroom door was shut, you could teach that in whichever way you wanted. But by the time we left, that wasn't the case at all.
Also, as time went on as well, the senior management were so pushed. They are really, really pushed. I mean, they've got to tick every box. And one of the downsides of that for us as regular teachers is that we didn't have the support there.
As much as they wanted to give it.
As much as they wanted to give it, absolutely. And there were a few occasions whereby you needed your senior management there regarding maybe fights or a parental issue or something like that. And the support was not there to help you. As time went on, just thought this job in teaching is just not suiting my personality, and I know that Kirsty felt the same. Thus, the perfect opportunity arose to leave and start up on our own.
So 2 more teachers were added to the long list of those leaving the profession. Teacher retention was a real concern at Robert Clack School in Dagenham, and was a problem that Paul Grant, the head of humanities there, had to tackle when he was promoted to head teacher of what was seen as a failing school.
The attainment is on public record. The attainment at the time in 1996 was 17% of the children got the national standard of 5A to C. A quarter of the children were leaving without any qualifications at all. And I witnessed that alienation, disaffection each day. It manifested itself in appalling behaviour, quite frankly. The fire alarm going off, abusive behaviour, truancy, children coming in and out of the premises, and poor staff morale, poor teacher retention.
Encore deux, merci monsieur. Tuer. Oh la la, quel désastre.
Cliff Carder is a French teacher at the school and one of Robert Clack's longest-serving staff. But if it hadn't been for Paul Grant, he could be long gone. He was dismayed by the lack of support for teachers who tried to discipline pupils.
If a teacher was given a detention and the child wouldn't turn up, he didn't really get much backing from the heads of year, the senior staff. Staff morale went down because they felt they weren't getting the backing, and that caused a bit of an evacuation of the staff. Experienced teachers weren't happy, so they were going elsewhere. I was one of the teachers that was seriously thinking of going.
I spoke to virtually every member of staff, and I remember saying, I'm only going to concentrate on one thing in the short term, your morale. That's all I'm going to concentrate on.
Darryl. Sorry, sir. Thank you. Thanks for your cooperation.
The big thing I said was, I would take all of the personal attacks on instilling discipline and a new behaviour code into the school. I would be consistent in implementing that code because I knew I was going to reap a whirlwind.
The initial result was indeed a whirlwind of exclusions. Within a fortnight, up to 300 pupils had been excluded, and the head consistently supported the staff.
Quickly. You do your shirt, please, young man.
It was a big, nasty broom he came in with, but it swept a lot of the problems away very, very efficiently over quite a short period of time, really. Hard at first, but then maintained.
Settle down. Settle down, please, Paige.
Morale, I think, went up because we were working together as a team. They were getting backing, they were getting support, and also they were getting feedback from the children about how much the children were actually enjoying a relationship that had hitherto been poisoned, perhaps, by that atmosphere.
The result over the last 10 years has been a transformation in staff retention that's gone hand in hand with a transformation in pupil attainment.
Okay, who can start me off? I want to get a full sentence across there.
Je faisais
Merci.
Tour Eiffel.
Okay, excellent. I think teaching is possibly the worst job in the world if you have problems with children. Put your hands up if you think I'm a quality teacher. But the school ethos now is so good. It's a calm atmosphere, it's a relaxed atmosphere, the students are happy, the staff are happy, you know, and it means the world to me. Au revoir à la classe. Okay, merci.
Establishing good behaviour was just the start of the Robert Clack drive to retain good staff. Since the early days of his tenure, the head has introduced a raft of policies that encourage staff to join and remain at the school. Take Phil Ackerman. He arrived at the school 5 years ago.
Found it to be a really thriving environment to learn how to be a teacher. And as a result of that, after my first placement, I was offered the opportunity to come for an interview, and I jumped at that, and I've been at Robert Clack ever since.
We're going to collect the oxygen, which is going to bubble along this tube, underneath, and bubble up here. All right? And when the water level gets down to the bottom line, which is 50, you're going to stop your timer, and you're going to record that in your table on your worksheet. Right, you see it fizzing, that's the oxygen. I've got to be as quick as I can.
Phil was fresh out of his NQT year when Paul Grant asked him to apply for the head of department role.
I'm a great believer, you know, that if you're ready and you've got potential and you can do it, to me, if you're 23, 24, 25, 26, it becomes irrelevant from my point of view. I was absolutely convinced that he had it, absolutely convinced.
I was quite shocked, but there was something about the levels of support that I'd had up to that point that thought, you know what, if he's asking me to do this, I can probably make a go of it. It certainly fitted in with my passions of wanting to shape science education and making it more interesting and more engaging, so I thought I'd have more influence if I took the role.
Got one result in, chaps? Excellent.
It's a conscious policy to reward very good people, and it's exciting for other young staff to see that actually, you know, there's no glass ceiling, that actually, you know, this school, it isn't about dead men's shoes, it isn't about jobs for the boys, it's about talent, and it's about taking opportunities when they arise.
And I've been thinking about science as I do, because it's really important to me.
The result?
And,
one happy teacher far less likely to leave the profession. A teacher who sees that he can go as far as his enthusiasm and experience will take him. Elaine Wilson trains science teachers like Phil Ackerman. She's seen many fall by the wayside.
A lot of the people I was training were giving up within their first 5 years. So I wanted to find out why that was, and that's how I came to do a bit of research in the area. I did a big survey of the 400 or so people who had been through the course, and I had about a 60% response rate from that group. And of that, I found that there were probably somewhere in the region of 40% of them had given up within their first 3 years of teaching.
Elaine Wilson's students cited workload and stress as the main things driving them out of the profession. But she wasn't convinced.
I thought that that was really, those were really excuses for something that was much deeper, because they knew exactly what the workload was like before they started, because they had been in schools for their whole training. I work here with a clinical psychologist, Roland Chaplin, and he's carried out a big survey looking at the whole idea of general happiness scale, which is an instrument that clinical psychologists use. The three reasons that Roland came up on were the whole business about managing big classes, the business of not having enough support in school came through, and the children's behaviour.
Elaine then went a step further. As well as highlighting the negatives, she focused on schools where things were going right, where teachers were happy.
It's the whole idea of feeling competent about your job, feeling that you're actually good at what you do. If you don't feel that you're good at what you do, then you lose heart. The whole idea of feeling collegial, part of a collegial environment, part of a supported environment where you feel part of a team is really important too. And thirdly, feeling that you actually have some control over your own work, having autonomy is really important. And where those three things are in place, I found that people were actually really able to carry on because those three things actually enable you to build up a thick skin, if you like.
These factors are just as applicable to the primary sector. Corsham Primary School in Wiltshire is a good example. The head, Fiona Allen, has a forward-thinking policy on how she treats her staff.
Primarily, we want teachers who are committed to working with the children and making a difference. So we're looking for teachers who want to constantly grow, and we also want to be providing the opportunities for those teachers to develop as a teacher, but also as an individual.
She's been very keen to establish a formal and informal system of support for new teachers.
All our young teachers have a mentor, but we've added in a buddy. So those are the people that will make sure that socially those people are settled in school, will check out that everything's okay, you know, take an interest in their personal life as well as their professional life.
Can you remember all those key ingredients that go into instructions, all those things that Miss Markey needs to throw into her mixing bowl?
One of the young teachers who's prospered at Corsham is Kate Markey. She's in her second year of teaching.
Miss Markey is going to be making a jam sandwich.
I think it's really, really important to have a staff that's supportive when you start, definitely, because you do feel that sometimes you look around and everybody's got everything sorted and you feel like you're floundering a bit and kind of the workload's piling up, and it's really nice to be able to go and in the staff room here talk to anybody.
So, brilliant. Up behind your chairs then, let's show these guys what we do in the mornings.
Kate's taken on a wider role at Corsham. She's joint PE coordinator and is shaping school policy in this area. It's retaining her enthusiasm for teaching.
It lets you know that you're doing a good job, that the leadership and the powers that be actually do trust you, and they're respecting what you're doing in your classroom, and they're also giving the opportunity to shine in new areas.
Superstars. Right then, brilliant, ready to do some learning.
So young staff are given opportunities to advance quickly. Helen Bealby is only in her fourth year of teaching, but she's already on the school's management team.
Can I see thumbs? I want to know who was feeling good, who was feeling a bit like that, and who was feeling, okay, I really don't get this at all.
Well, I think Corsham Primary is a very innovative school, so there's a lot of new ideas coming out. There's a lot of fantastic learning going on, and the children really enjoy it here, so it's great.
She's a key figure in developing and assessing the school's mentoring systems.
I think everybody has this sort of community feeling where they do want to support other teachers and they do want to look out for them, and I think that is the key, the core thing, is the support in this school, and I think without it, you would lose teachers.
Flexibility is also a way to retain teachers. Fiona Allen allows staff who've been at Corsham for 3 years to take gap years.
I was very conscious that a lot of young staff wanted to do a few years and perhaps go off travelling again, and I wanted to offer them the opportunity to come back here, because if we've invested a lot in that person and we can see potential, we don't want to lose it.
If you measure that one, just right the length there. Measure that one.
That flexibility has benefited James Passmore. He went travelling and then worked in educational software, but missed teaching and came back.
I actually decided I wanted to carry on doing some aspects of the educational software. So I negotiated a 1 day a week away from the classroom, so that I could continue to explore the educational software side of things, working for myself. A flexible approach to the number of days we worked, or maybe go travelling, or spend some time away from the school, and being flexible enough to enable teachers to come back to the school again, I think is really important, because people feel very comfortable that they don't feel trapped at all, and the staff that are at the school are here because they want to be, not because they feel like they haven't got any other options.
And the head has put in place a number of schemes to make sure the work-life balance in the school is right.
The bits and bobs that the leadership team have organised for outside of school. We have the car valeting service come in.
People coming in to give massages or do reflexology.
We have an ironing person come in.
And we also have yoga on us on Monday night as well.
But ultimately, it's the overall school philosophy that keeps teachers at Corsham.
If the teachers were not happy in this school and didn't feel fulfilled and didn't feel part of it and didn't feel the energy and didn't have that moral sense of purpose of why they're here, they wouldn't stay in the school. They would move on. Those ingredients for success are there.
I like it. Brilliant.
The importance of the support network at Corsham is highlighted by the experience of one primary school teacher who worked at a very small rural school. She left teaching after 3 years, frustrated by educational policy.
The school I worked at was classed as rurally deprived, and sort of the strategies, initiatives, teaching this way, teaching that way, didn't seem to fit. And it was frustrating me that as a teacher, you've trained for 4 years, you've got a degree, you've got your teaching qualification, that we didn't seem to be trusted to know what was right for our children.
Crucially, perhaps, the support evident at schools like Corsham, which could have helped her plot a way through her difficulties, wasn't there, because of the nature of her very small school of just 3 classes.
I was very much the youngest, and it just felt a bit more isolated than perhaps compared to, say, a secondary school where you might have like a big intake of NQTs. In a small rural school, you've got not so many people sort of to bounce ideas off, or if there's a personality clash, obviously, that's more sort of in your face every day.
And it's not just inside school that the isolation plays a part.
I know that from speaking to friends in secondary, there does seem to be a more of a sort of social scene that they would have as well, to sort of create more of a work-life balance. They might head to the pub at the end of school on a Friday night, whereas if you've got a small school, there might not be that easy social scene, which may be the case in some secondary schools because there's more people around and probably more young people.
As well as whole schools having an influence, in secondary schools, individual heads of department can have key roles to play in retaining teachers. The thriving maths department at Sydney Stringer School in Coventry's inner city is a striking example. But 12 years ago, when the head of department Steve Edwards arrived, things were very different.
The school when I arrived had been without a head of department for 18 months. They'd advertised a number of times. They found it very difficult to recruit. As people left, they weren't replaced. So we were starting from quite a low point, really.
But over the last dozen years, there's been a striking change in fortune, with an astonishing teacher retention rate.
Within the department, there's not one teacher who's joined the school and then left teaching in the 12 years that I've been here.
One of the teachers who's prospered at the school is Liz Baker.
What did you get about plotting those points?
Like many young teachers, she needed support at times, and Steve Edwards has ensured that backup is always there.
They're a really supportive department. I can go to any of them and just say, not sure about this, or how do I do this? Or I've got a problem with these kids, and they've all got different ideas that I can try out.
I think that the fact that we all work together it is certainly one aspect of what has made us successful in retaining staff. People want to stay here because they make friends with people around them.
And career development is firmly at the top of the agenda. All teachers are given the chance to teach all ranges of abilities. The department is very well resourced, and Steve Edwards will help newer teachers by observing their lessons and offering advice.
So if I draw a triangle in a semicircle, the angle at the perimeter is always a right angle. I'll tell you what, we can stop at lunch and have a look at that. I thought as much.
Building up good relationships between staff and pupils is a key aim.
When teachers come into the job and they pick up a Year 7 group, our timetable is arranged such that they can follow that group through right the way through to Year 11. And I think that's been very successful in building strong relationships between students and staff.
Along. Where did I say the other day? Yeah, along the bottom. Yeah, what you control. Okay?
Okay, yeah. She's known you for so long, so she knows what you're good at and what you're going to struggle at.
And like, because you have this bond and relationship with her, you can go to her outside lessons without feeling scared that you're going to seem stupid or anything like that.
Yeah, she's willing to give a lot of help as well whenever we need it.
Time and commitment.
And when it comes to exams, she puts you down for stuff that she knows you're good at.
Can somebody give me a very good example of impossible?
What strikes visitors to this department is the sheer enthusiasm for their subject that Steve Edwards has fostered.
What have we got? We've got 4 trapezia.
Staff even discuss maths puzzles at their regular informal meetings.
Partly we want to keep enthusiastic about maths, but it's also because we all enjoy maths so much anyway that we know that if anyone's got a puzzle, we're all going to want to do it anyway because maths is what we love and that's why we're teachers, really.
But the key is enabling teachers to enjoy their experiences in the classroom.
Teachers want to teach, and if other things get in the way of that, so whether it's discipline, whether it's a lack of resources or a lack of decent sort of rooming facilities, that would be a big driver in sort of forcing people out of the profession, I think.
There was the literal reason where the boy is seeing some snowdrops, and what else was there about the story?
Zoe Burton knows about life on the outside. She began her teaching career more than a decade ago, yet she's now in just her 2nd year in the classroom. That's because she quit teaching after a dreadful introduction.
I went in as a long-term supply teacher to cover for maternity leave, and I went in as an NQT, and I went right in at the deep end. I was covering the classes of a department 2nd, so they were quite sort of challenging classes. And I just was working constantly. I'd wake up at 3 in the morning panicking about marking. And at the end of the 6 or 7 months that I did it, I thought I never want to hear the words Key Stage 4 again or I'll vomit. That was how strongly I felt.
Zoe had felt isolated and unable to do the job, struggling with managing time and lacking confidence in handling bad behaviour. She left teaching and joined an investment bank. The money was good, but not the work.
It was stifling, it was uncreative. I hit 40 in April 2006, and I thought suddenly, it occurred to me, I was going to be behind a desk possibly for the next 25 years, and I knew, your body tells you these things, you know it's not for you.
Zoe took a return to teaching course at the University of East London and now teaches English at Eastleigh Community School.
As useful as an ashtray on a motorbike. Is an ashtray on a motorbike useful? Michelle, is an ashtray on a motorbike useful? No, it's not useful. Okay, so what I want you to do is to write down in your books something that's kind of backwards.
As soon as I walked in the school gates, I knew that this was the school for me. I felt supported immediately. The staff were, friendly, and I noticed immediately the good relationship that the teachers have with the students straight away.
That's it, good, loud for the trumpet, I like that, excellent, great, square.
If she'd felt this way about her first school, perhaps she wouldn't have been lost to teaching for a decade.
I would have liked to have had somebody there to just say, look, it will get better. The longer you're in a school and the longer the children get to know you and the more that you do for the kids, the better it gets and the more fun it gets.
Yeah, that's all right. That's okay.
Is worth sticking it out.
Many teachers who didn't stick it out, even those with no regrets like Fiona and Kirsty Innes, look back with fondness.
There's bits I miss. There's big bits I miss.
What bits do you miss?
I miss... Oh, I think back to my GCSE groups. And my 16-year-olds, especially. And my A-level groups. I'm having such a laugh with them. A real laugh. It's really good. Really good fun. I miss that. I do miss that.
Here we are, we're sort of sitting here smiling and saying, oh yeah, we run our own business and oh, it's great, and teaching was really difficult. Well, yeah, teaching was really difficult, but it had some great parts. But this has been really difficult too, and it has great parts as well.
So, in the end, retaining teachers is all about job satisfaction. Most people enter teaching to try and make a difference to pupils' lives. Heads need to give their staff the tools to achieve their goals, and that means supporting them, motivating them, and ensuring they're treated as autonomous professionals.
Good schools, good heads, good governing bodies will recognise your primary resource are your teachers.
If you look after your colleagues, they deserve it, and that's what they should be getting. But it benefits everybody. It benefits everybody.
At the moment we've got a big drive in school which is called Every Child Matters, which is an absolutely admirable idea, the whole idea of inclusion and getting children, individual treatment. But I would like that slogan to be taken and look at every teacher matters.